All right, so this is going to be part of a larger series on how to start your OnlyFans agency. This is just my quick little pre-intro. You can find the link to the full video down below, as well as the link to the Telegram group, which has all the resources we mentioned completely free. So links down below, guys, timestamps down below. Let's get you started on your journey. All right, section 1. So foundational architecture, sourcing, agency brand building, model sourcing in the 3 pathways, the local celebrity method, the sourcing filter and YouTube disclaimer, which again, go to the Telegram group, guys, for a lot of this stuff here. Please, please, please. But watch this. Don't get me wrong. Model framing and boundaries, 50-50 split. Again, just one method. Chatter math, legal contracts, account architecture, content vault, bulk filming systems. Finally, chatting foundation and the persona Bible. And then we have section 2, scaling. And finally, section 3, selling. And then secret section 4, Spencer. So, agency brand building. Now, looking like a multi-million-dollar entity, okay? I own this. Do you know that I can email anyone in Miami and I get a response? Because I own this. A 7-figure domain. That's the thing. You know who owns Miami.com? The Miami Herald. You know who owns the next one? Miami.gov? The government, right? I have the authority as far as domain names go in Miami. And what do I choose to do with it? Nothing. Because the opportunities that I pass on are greater than the opportunities that ever come across the desk of other people. Now, agency brand building, looking like a multi-million-dollar entity. So again, the lesson there, I look like a god to anyone in Miami online when I DM them or email them. I get cold email. I cold email anyone in Miami. I've done it. It works, guys, because that's why I have that address. I've got dozens of other cities too. I want to translate that authority to you, okay? Especially if you're a beginner. If you don't have a model, well, even if you have one, if you want your second model, guess what? We have to make you look professional. And then remember, everything ties back to the third S, selling, right? I don't care if you're already scaled. I guarantee you probably don't have an LLC. You probably don't have records of your financials. You probably think your contracts mean something. You have nothing. Nothing. You have nothing. Nothing. No, I'm just teasing. Congratulations if you're successful. I'm proud of you. But you still probably have nothing. So the naming strategy. Before you pitch a model, you need a brand that it's going to scream, hey, I'm not a broccoli-haired Brickle Kid. And if you are Brickle Kid, congratulations. I'm going to educate you. I'm going to turn your broccoli hair into beautiful golden locks here. All right? This shit's award-winning. Now, you got to drop the cheesy names. All right? No Alpha Agency, no Infinity Agency, no Fortune Agency. Oh, you guys, I swear I started that trend. But I'm going to tell you this. You know what the absolute best name is? Look at Wilhelmina. Look at Ford Models. Those are 2 of the biggest modeling agencies in the world. Wilhelmina, founder name. Ford, founder name. Everybody knows this. You can be damn sure women know that too, right? So if your name is Spencer, like my name is Spencer Bencherud, so what would I call mine? I'd call mine Bencherud Talent. That's the first, that's what I would call it, right? I wouldn't be afraid to put my name behind it. Now, are you afraid to put your name behind it? Maybe. Do you just want to keep it anonymous? Which is a perfectly valid thing, by the way. Perfectly valid. Go ahead. Do it. Now, one thing I would do, if you think you're going to call it like Luxor Agency or something stupid, go to the USTPO, the United States Trademark Patent Office, and search that up. Make sure it's not trademarked, because I've personally sued the piss out of people for taking my names before, especially in the spicy space and the adult space. I have sued people. All right, if you're going to use my name, I'm going to sue the piss out of you because I have it trademarked. It's a registered trademark of me. Right now, I know agency owners who've sued before, and I've actually encouraged certain agency owners to sue, and it's funny. So you don't want that. So again, the name is super important. All right, I would personally put my name behind it, but then again, I'm public. All right, so it doesn't really matter. What am I doing? Now, I strongly recommend that you check out the group for a nomenclature education, which means names. All right. Now, web presence. So first and foremost, you need a proper, clean corporate website. And when I say corporate, I just mean professionally done. So we have a couple templates available free in the group. You can just go and grab one of those. That's what I recommend you do. I don't like the link trees. I don't like the cards. It should say who you are. Bonus points, by the way, because here's a few extreme trust builders, first and foremost. So The call center flex is number one. The LLC flex is number two. The physical office flex is number three. But let's just talk about the number one because it's the cheapest. You can literally Google phone answering services, right? And they give you a phone number for $50 a month, $100 a month, whatever. You can put it on your website. And when you refer potential models there, and again, we're going to get into sourcing, that's the next one, but I'm trying to help you build a brand, a foundational brand. Not to mention, if you build this type of thing, it's helpful for getting corporate bank accounts. You can name your LLC after it, you can do whatever, but we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Look at me, I'm like a laser Turk. You'd think they're calling me the Al Pasha. Now, that's way too high historical of a joke for most of you. But anyway, you get one of these call answering services. It's so easy. I remember my first one when I was like 17 and I phoned my own number and I could just hear some big black lady from the South. Hey, let's Bantaroo talent. And I was just like, hi, yeah. Because it was like a stereotype, right? Because in Canada, there's like no black people. There's like four and three of them are Drake, right? Or at least where I was from anyway. So I thought that was funny. But back to the original point here. If your business has a phone number you can call, someone answers with your business name, and that's what these call answering services do. That is the biggest trust builder you've ever heard. Now, you may say, oh, well, what does the person say? And well, the model's like, hi, I'm looking for Derek with, I don't know, Pashmina Afghan talent. That's not a good example for you guys. RCA talent, right? Okay, honey, what's your name? Let me take your number. Real simple, right? Real simple. That's the best possible thing in the entire world. It's fantastic, right? So then they just pass the information on to you in an email. It's so simple, but it's a massive trust builder, all right? Another trust builder, having your LLC listed in the footer of your website. In Europe, this is law. They call it an impressum. And basically it means that you have to have a paper trail of who the business is owned by the website, who owns and operates the website, right? In the United States, Canada, we don't really have that, but you should have it. It makes sense. Third thing, please, for the love of all that is holy, sweet baby Jesus in the manger, please make a proper email, okay? I don't care if you're called Buttpick Talent Agency. Your email should be spencer@buttpick.com, okay? Not buttpickagency@gmail.com. If someone contacts me from a Gmail, or if I see their presence as a Gmail, I don't take them seriously. Not for a second. Please. Unless you're like a super boomer, but none of you probably are. Okay, so again, we go over this heavily in the group, and there's some free resources there. So let's move on to point number 2, model sourcing, the 3 pathways. So first and foremost, you kind of have to ask yourself, like, if you already have a model, I'm going to cover that right now, right? But you have to say pathway A, the established girl. Now, whether you have her or not, it doesn't fucking matter. She has at least some sort of social media following. All right. Now, I have written down 50 to 200,000 on IG, TikTok, or Twitter, but hey, let's say she's got even 30. Now, is she on OF or is she not? It doesn't really matter because no matter what, she's probably making peanuts. That's the thing, right? So having an established social presence is great because it's instant cash flow from day one. But if you're at that point already and you're not on OF, what's the problem, right? Because most girls would be, and if they are, they're probably on their second or third agency already. And I tell you what, the amount of recycled models these days, it is perverse. They're being passed around like a 2006 Nissan Altima in Southern California. All right? That's been owned by 4 different women, all of whom love Takis and buzzballs and hot fucking Cheetos, Do you guys like my stereotypes here? Because I've actually lived amongst all of these people. Like, I speak very well Spanish, very good Spanish. You see how I'm fucking up my English here? 5 languages, always a problem, guys. Now, pathway B, the scratch girl. So, 0, right? She's 0. Now, this is the type of girl, I call them barrio girls. Well, actually, I call the salaried model barrio girls or favelitas, like favela girls. And so anyway, let's just talk about this. This is a girl, she's got 0, she's ready to do the work, These are just the archetypes. But again, she doesn't have any traffic. And this is, in my opinion, the most common type of girl. We talk about this much more extensively in the Telegram group. I just don't want to get into too much detail here because it's like, this isn't a problem most people have. But you have to build the foundation of the brand before you do any outreach. I'm just identifying 3 archetypes that you want to reach out to, right? So It takes about 30 to 60 days to build the initial traffic engine on that girl pathway B, the scratch girl. Oh, and by the way, I should probably make the transcript for all of this available. I'll probably put that in the group. Now, pathway C, the salaried model, the infinite margin play. This is my favorite one, right? This is the favelitas. This is the barrio bichotitas. This is the move. All right, especially Brazilians, because it's a very easy way to cash out to crypto, which is a move I absolutely love, and it's a big thing. It's very attractive to sellers or to buyers, especially people who want to offshore. But that's in the sell section. All right, so. Anyway, typically just a foreign girl, third world country. And remember, Canada at this point is basically a third world country, right? So it can really be from anywhere. The United Kingdom is a third world country. Most people there barely make $2,000 a month. So, anyway, all that is basically is income level arbitrage. Now, I want to be very upfront with that. If you pay them a good down salary, your margin is effectively infinite. Like, you're going to make so much money. It's actually crazy. And I love these models. They're some of my favorites. The only problem is they come with socioeconomic status problems. And we'll get more into the group about that. I'm not going to slander people, especially on YouTube. I mean, I have no problem slandering people. I just don't want to do it on YouTube. But again, insane financial leeway, guys. If you're paying them $800 a month, congratulations. You can be making $30, $40, $50, $60,000. And what's your cost on that? Okay, $800 a month flat. And then what, chatters? Right? What's that, 10%? Time to focus on me, please. There we are. My apologies. Anyways, so one interesting little strategy there, though. If you have her on a salary, and again, like, what's the likelihood that someone from the barrio is coming after you legally? It is possible, though, and I have seen it once. Just make sure the contract you sign with them, and we're about to get into contracts, includes the rights to her likeness, her IP, everything. And remember, you really want to know about my background in the spicy business. I talk more about it in the Telegram group, but I happen to be an expert in the type of contracts where it talks about likeness, etc. That's not legal advice, just a full disclaimer. I'm just an expert of circumstance and experience. Now, let's go over here to the local celebrity method. So I literally just want to talk about this quickly because there was a girl in Alberta, and we called her a bar star, right? A bar star, a bench, B-I-T-C-H. And remember, this is some local Alberta slang, right? So we hop out the 450 dually, right? We go there, and this is back when I was an oil man. So we go there, and so this is a country bar, right? And she's, 5 feet tall. She's got boobs out to here, right? Great, tremendous honkers. She's got a little culito on her, little culita. Not that big, but anyway, called a bar star because she was doing 40 a month. And this is US, by the way. She was doing 40 a month on her OF, and another 10 a month, another 10,000 US. This is like $70,000, $80,000 Canadian, by the way, worth of tips from the bar. She had to keep her, so she made all this money, right? She was a local celebrity. She made all this money working at the bar. She's a bartender. And guys would come in, whales would come in, like guys who spent thousands on. Remember, this is an oil field. This is Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. This is the oil field. This is oil country. Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid, the oil patch, Fort McMurray, F450 dually, no mud flaps, smokestacks. That's the kind of town we're in right now. Truck 10 feet high. You got to throw a damn ladder to get out. You'd think you were jumping out of a Chinook. So that's the culture I come from, just in case you haven't figured that out yet. Anyway, this girl, she tried to quit at the bar, and her income went down heavily, and everyone is asking on her OF, oh, why aren't you at the bar? Why aren't you at the bar? Why aren't you at the bar? Bar owner was pissed too, because she was responsible for like an extra 30 to 50,000 a month in sales. All right. So that's a little local celebrity method. She never had no chatter. She never had nothing. And she was still pulling down almost $1 million Canadian a year. She's pulling down like $600,000-$700,000. Now, after taxes, I think she had 14 pesos left. In Canada, we have pesos. So, but I just want to give you an example of what's possible out there in the most ridiculous method, okay? The most ridiculous thing. Like, it's just a stupid example, but I just want to keep you motivated. I just want to keep you in the loop on that, all right? So, let's go into my favorite. Oh, by the way, that girl there, I did go to high school with her, and I'm probably going to send this to her afterwards, so It's been many years. What's that Smash Mouth song? Well, the years start coming and they don't stop coming. Yeah, that's how old I am. But I saw Shrek in theaters. Anyway, Lord Farquaad reminds me of certain people. Now, the hub recruitment tease, all right? Now, the reason I call this a tease is because I cannot talk about this. We all know what the hub is, right? That site, that word, and then hub, and it's a nice little orange plaque, hub, or videos, or else the one where it's little hamster logo. You know, I'm not trying to mention any of this, especially on YouTube, right? Need a cigarette because, you know, it's, I can't do it. I want this video to get reach. So this method is documented extensively in the Telegram group. However, remember, join down below. It's free. Just please remember that all of this ties into the branding lesson, okay? I can't stress how important the branding lesson is. I genuinely cannot stress how important the branding lesson is, guys. It is absolutely massive how important the branding lesson is because it ties into this hub recruitment phase. Everything is interconnected, okay? I am right now giving you the hub, and you guys have to build every spoke on the wheel. Otherwise, the wheel is not going to be as strong, okay? If you build the hub and then you build the spoke and you build the wheel around it and you miss even one spoke, that wheel's integrity is compromised. I'm sorry to tell you. So please listen to what I'm saying. It's very important. All right. So anyway, the hub recruitment method, that's a cold DM method. All right. But it's cold DMing established models, established girls. It's very easy to set a filter, very easy to set a scraper to take profiles that don't have OF listed, but they regularly upload their verified ID profile. It's very easy. See, Uncle Spencer knows all the tricks because, again, my literal profession was doing OF before OF was even a twinkle in a British father and son's eyes, was even a twinkle in Leonid Radvinsky before he invested in OF. I've been doing this for so long. Guys, I've been doing this longer and made more money in it than anyone you know, I guarantee you. And why am I even back? Oh, because I'm developing AI software. And again, it's all in the group. It's all in the group. Just go in the group. Go in the group. Framing and relationship dynamics. Now, this is a little something I had to throw in there just because so many of you, like, your only model is actually your girlfriend. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's also a trap. I've never seen that work out ever. I also don't care about you and I don't care about your relationship, right? I've got my own problems, right? Remember, in a relationship with the money, that's all that matters to me. And let me tell you, she treats me real good, you know? Real good. You ever seen a man rub a calculator on his face? Bet you haven't. I got the balls to do that. No. Simp agency owner, catering to a model's every whim ruins the business. You are the CMO, CEO, she is the talent. Listen, what am I going to do? Sit here and give you a fucking lesson in frame? People have beat that shit to death. Be strong. Remember, you're the one who's generating the income. They are replaceable. You are not, especially at scale. All right. Now, a billion other agencies are going to try and lure her away. That's inevitable. That's how it always works. But hey, what do your contracts look like? Where is she? You know, because your contract ain't worth the paper it's printed on. You remember in Harold and Kumar Go to Guantanamo Bay where the government agent wipes his ass with the Constitution? That's what I would do with your contract because chances are it's useless. Chances are it's useless. And it's unfortunate, but we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. And again, we've got some templates down in the group, which you can check out. So number 6, the 50-50 net split and chatter math. And this applies to a lot of the models. But look, I say 50-50 of net, right? Because certain models that I deal with, they're usually established in the spicy entertainment business as it is. They already have huge offerings. So I just make it easy. I say, let's just do 50-50 of the net profits. What are the 2 greatest expenses? There's some softwares, which again, you actually divide the software. Like I have my own custom softwares, but let's say you're using a popular software, and I'm not going to name anybody software because I don't really want to endorse anyone. The softwares that I like, whether I own them or not, they're listed in the group, okay? Under resources in every section. So please, and again, when I change what I use, I tell you, all right? I pass it on. I don't gatekeep. I pass it on. If I tell you, hey, I'm not using X because it's missing feature A, B, and C, I moved over to Y, but I don't like that it's missing feature W, whatever. You know what I mean? So let me actually, okay, pardon me. Thank you. Anyway, so I had to refocus the camera. So like I was saying, 50-50 of the net. right? Now, your only real expenses typically are chatters, and even that expense has gone down significantly with the advent of AI. And then, of course, administration, which, hey, I got my SOPs so dialed in. SOP, standard operating procedure. I detail my SOPs in the group. So, gross versus net. What is net? Right? Net profit. Net is just what's left after all the expenses. Okay, so you do 100,000 in a month. Let's say you're 50-50 net with a girl. You do 100,000 in a month. You have 10% of the chatters, so that's actually 90,000 worth of net. Then you got $500 worth of administration fees, so it's $89,500 worth of net profit. You take half, she takes half. Simple as that. That is the deadpan simple expression. I'm not talking about taxes, right? I didn't mention anything about taxes. We're going to talk about taxes in a little bit. I just wanted everybody to understand very easily what this is, okay? So, again, we're going to talk a little bit about chatters here. So, just so you understand, like, chatters, like, they're either going to ask on two models: base pay plus percentage, or just pure percentage. Pure percentage is often models that are much more, or chatters that are much more reliable, much more professional, and they're typically only working with scaled people. Whereas base pay, they could want, let's say, $1,000, solid team, whatever. Let's say $1,000 for the chatting team. That's typically 3 people working in 8-hour shifts, 8, 16, 24, right? 24 hours in a day, 24/7 chatting. Okay, great. Plus maybe 5 to 8% or 8 to 12%. I personally pay the best chatters I have. I think it's like 11%. And then I do performance bonuses. And again, I have a performance bonus structure detailed in the group. Okay. And again, I just gave you some basic numbers there because, again, most of you are probably beginners, especially if you're watching this. I literally just wanted to give you some basic stuff there because this actually changed significantly over the last, I want to say 18 months as AI chatting finally got decent, but what the hell. So let's move into the ironclad legal and account setup. Okay, so this section, look, I've worked with attorneys in the spicy space for a very long time because, again, I am an OG manager in the sense that, again, you want my background, you want to see some of the unbelievable flagship properties I own in the 18 plus space. Join the group, okay? I'm actually going to put a huge, like, who I am primer in there just because I'm 31 now, just so people fully understand some of the domains, some of the properties I own and have owned for a long time, and the authority that buys me in the space. But anyway, ironclad legal and account setup. So account ownership. So who owns the OnlyFans account, the email address, the domains, banking and KYC, keeping payouts clean, tax compliant, setting up separate corporate entities, LLCs, personal and business funds never mix, model safety, operational security, geo-blocking her home state country, watermarking content, DMCA takedown services. There's tons and tons and tons of content here, guys, that it's all very, very obvious, right? Now, again, with contracts, if she's in Colombia, you're in America, hey, that's pretty difficult to enforce. If she's in California, you're in, I was about to say Idaho. I don't know, Idaho. Yeah, you're in bloody Idaho. God knows why you'd want to be there. And I grew up in Alberta, so I can say that. Okay, that's an enforceable contract, right? But even a contract between a Canadian and an American, it's adding complexities. And what's a complexity? A complexity is a lawyer who's twice as expensive as he should be because he's versed in cross-border lawsuits. Simple as that. All right. If you're in Europe and you got a model in Germany and you're from the Netherlands, okay, yeah, that's all EU, right? I'm not going to sit here and talk about this because I'm not a fucking lawyer, right? But the difference is, pardon me, who demands my attention? There we are. Nobody. Thank God. The difference, that's the thing. I pay people to deal with bullshit, right? So I don't have to deal with the shit, guys. So, we're right. Yeah, banking, KYC, you want to make sure that everything is properly segregated. And again, this all comes down to the sale, right? But also, you don't want to be reliant on the model for their tax situation, right? You want to make sure that the model, especially when they're making tens of thousands of dollars a month, because typically these girls end up wanting to buy homes. They want to do all this stuff. You have to have tax records, right? It's crazy how you're punished tax-wise for not buying a home. It's the one incentive. That's why I consider the economy largely a Ponzi. But call me Spenny Madoff, the way I'm making money in the Ponzi that is the 2027 economy. And that's it. I'm already in 2027. I left 2026 and 2024. That, like, I'm living so far ahead, it's not even funny. So let's move into the content vault architecture, because again, with the legal, I could sit here and talk all day long. We're 25 minutes into section 1. Hey, content vault architecture before you launch. Never launch dry. All right. So basically, this is just a standard operating procedure. This is just where you get templated out and where you have to sit there and say, okay, how much content does the model already have? How much content do you need made? What niche is the model? How much content should she make? It's basically like, this is a case by case basis, right? You have to sit there, look at the model, find out what she has, what's her theme. If she's a blonde girl, is she going to be a cheerleader? You know, if she's a black girl, is she going to be a black goth girl? If she's a Asian girl, is she going to be like a Harajuku or an anime girl? They're cosplayers. What are they? How much content do they already have? How much content are they going to need to make? What content levels are they comfortable with? Are you going to have a tiered incentive structure in place? And again, this is something that we talk about in the branding section in the group, where you say, okay, tier one, you can make like probably $3,000 to $10,000 a month. That may not involve taking off clothes. Tier two, $10,000 to $25,000. That may involve more, more stuff. $35,000 to $50,000. Who knows what that involves, right? Again, things I don't want to talk about here. So, and again, this all just comes down to organization. It's very simple, but you're going to need this, and you're going to need it data-wise too, guys, because you have to be able to record. You have to know what you're talking about. You got to know everything. You really got to know everything. It all comes in handy when you sell. Remember, we're in the start section. Oh, and by the way, if you don't do this properly in the start section, this comes to bite you in the ass in the scale section, because guess what? You need to be organized. Please, for the love of God, be organized, guys. Now, chatting foundations, Persona Bible, getting your hands dirty. First of all, if you're brand new to OF, please do some chatting yourself. Please pick up your model's account, do some chatting yourself, because a chatter that detects a manager who doesn't know anything about chatting is going to eat you alive. All right. It's a bit like, again, I'm going to go back to contracting, because like if I go and we build something, now we work in commercials. So Amazon obviously knows how much it costs to build a warehouse, right? And we had clients like that. So if I'm building decks though, if I'm a pawn scum contractor and I'm building decks, and no offense to deck builders, but yeah, get a real job. Anyway, there's hierarchies in the blue collar world, guys. And blue collar might mean blue collar, but your truck is worth more than a Rolls Royce Ghost, and it's pulling a trailer worth more than a Rolls Royce Phantom, and you're pulling up to a piece of land worth more than a mansion on the water in any state. Well, not any state, but you know what I mean. So, back to where I was talking about here. What is it? The foundation. So, listen, you don't know what a deck costs? I'll screw you blind. You know, I might charge you $30,000 for a deck that's worth $6,000, and I'm not going to do that because, again, I'm not a deck builder. But it's an example, right? So, founder's rule: do the dirt, guys. You got to do the dirt. Listen, nobody respects. You're not going to respect a manager who didn't like do the position himself before, right? You know, a McDonald's manager is never just a McDonald's. They don't just get the manager position. They have to work their way up from the bottom. A manager starts cleaning toilets, right? He knows what everything is. So, you know, if a manager who's never cleaned a toilet tells you to go clean the toilet, you're going to be annoyed. But if you know he cleaned toilets to get where he is, and I mean, most of you are aspiring McDonald's employees, and that's okay, right? There's nothing wrong with McDonald's. I actually have a great respect for McDonald's. I think the Big Mac is one of humanity's best inventions. As you can tell by how fat I am, I love a Big Mac. I'm actually not that fat, but do the dirt. Guys, get in the inbox, chat with yourself, but you also kind of have to do this. It's number one, it's quality control. But number two, you got to get the eye for a whale. Okay, you got to become a whaler. You got to get the eye for a whale. All right, you got to be a Japanese guy sitting on a boat throwing a harpoon into a 62-year-old white guy with a couple $1 million in the bank because he sold an HVAC company and he's lonely. All right, because Gertrude ain't doing it for him no more. Sorry to say, Gertrude, you're out the door. Now it's Miss Kitty XOXO or whatever. I assume that's a real OF handle. Who knows what that goes to? So, do the dirt. All right, you got to learn. You got to get your hands dirty. Get in there, start chatting. Hey, and fail. Make some mistakes. It's perfectly fine, all right? You don't think I made mistakes? Because I didn't. No, I'm kidding. But just do the dirt, all right? And now AI chatters. This is a big thing, and we're going to talk about this more in the scaling section. And again, that's talked about more in the group as well, because the thing with AI is if you have a model that's trained, let's say you use Claude, you trained it on a bunch of chatting data. Okay, great. Now, if Z.ai or let's say DeepSeek or somebody else releases a cheaper, better model, I'm not going to tell you exactly what to do here because this is static, right? In the group, it is fluid. The group, it is current. Link down below. Please join the group for Christ. Now, the AI teasers. Look, again, I just told you what to do. I'm actually not even going to go into it. Persona Bible. All right. And again, this actually ties into AI as well. So remember how I was talking about, like, is she a black goth girl? Is she a blonde cheerleader? Like, what is she? You know, what does she do? Okay, great. Look, what you got to do first and foremost is you almost, and you can work with AIs, and we have a guide to this again in the chatting, my SOP for it, because sometimes I sit back and I ask myself, how would I do this if I was a complete beginner? Almost like how I'm doing talking to you guys right now. I got strategies for that. All right, it's all there. So again, you're gonna just basically put together a little compendium, a little like Bible. Like I have like this page here. I don't even know what this is. Yeah. So this is a model that actually applied to work with us. She's already in the entertainment business. And I was just scribbling down my thoughts about her when I first saw her, because before I even open the email, before I even know what they look like, I have a pen and paper in hand just so I can jot down my first ideas. It's a bit like remote viewing, except it's about recording first impressions the second they land. It's very important. And then, of course, with the chatting, there's the initial welcome sequence. I don't even know why I actually put that in there. I think I meant to put that into the second scale section. So, guys, that wraps everything up. That is a 30-minute banger. Basically, just me prompted by my bullet points. But I hope you found value in that, because that's just it for section 1. All right, that's it for start. Now, again, please, 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 the Telegram group. I cannot stress how important the Telegram group is. Go down, join. Uncle Spencer is in the Telegram group, ready to help you make millions. So that's it for section 1. Thank you so much, guys. Section 1 start is over. Let's move on to section 2, scale.